It starts right now. A Renewed Mind, hosted by Dr. H. Dante Duckett, pastor of New Kingdom Faith Christian Church. Position yourself right now to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Now, here's our host, Dr. H. Dante Duckett.
Hello, this is Dr. H. Dante Duckett, and I'm here for another podcast of A Renewed Mind, and I am so excited yet again to be with you wherever you may be, in your car, in your home, in your living room, in your bedroom, might even be in church, might be in your office, maybe listening to me while you're sitting at your desk, wherever you may be. Welcome to our Renewed Mind podcast. I am your host, Dr. H. Dante Duckett. I am the pastor, along with my wife, of New Kingdom Faith Christian Church. We're located here at 500 McCormick Drive, Glen Burnie, Maryland, in the great United States. We got listeners, y'all. Listen to me. We have listeners all over the world that's downloading this podcast, and I'm here to tell you we are excited because we are being heard in so many different countries. You don't know how far our podcast reach, and I'm grateful for all the listeners for this great Renewed Mind podcast. Shout out to my producer, Jerry Royce. Shout out to Positive Power. They've been my producer since we've started, and they have grown the audience of our podcast, Renewed Mind, to being all over, to being a global podcast, not just somewhere local or regional. We're literally circling the globe. So shout out to Positive Power. Also want to let you know that if you want to download any of our podcasts, go to pray.com, pray.com, pray.com. Search my name, Dante Duckett. Download all of my podcasts right now in this very moment, and I believe you will truly be blessed. We're on all the podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple. Anyone you have named, you can just search my name and you'll be able to pull up our podcast. Believe me, we have grown tremendously in this little over a year and a half, and I'm grateful to be able to come to wherever you are and you're taking the time out to listen to A Renewed Mind. Listen, we started we had a new topic, subject matter for Renewed Mind, and it was entitled, Start Living Your Best Life Now. Start living your best life now. We know without a doubt we are preparing. It's time to prepare our life to be in a position where we can start living our best life at this exact moment. I'm sitting right here in our studio, New Kingdom Faith Studios, and I'm just thinking about where God has brought me from in the year and a half since this pandemic, actually going on 2 years now. Pandemic, once we hit 2022, we'll literally be in a second year of this pandemic, and I'm just thinking about how far God has brought me in this season of my life, and I'm grateful for everything that he does. I got so much stuff to share with you guys on this time, in this time for this podcast. Got so much I need to share with you. But in this season, we need to make sure that you understand that God is requiring you to start living your best life right now. Whatever you have holding you back, whatever you believe is is hindering you from moving forward, I'm here to tell you, God has given you the opportunity and is giving you the tools to ensure that everything you have been praying for, everything you've been hoping for, God has it available for you. And listen to me, don't take my word for it. I got testimony after testimony of my life. I got testimonies with other person's lives that have been touched by this teaching because they decided, listen, I'm not going to wait any longer to start living my life, my best life. I'm going to start right now. I think every one of you, everybody that's watching, you need to say it to yourself. I'm going to start living it right now. Listen, by the time you hear this podcast, the year is almost up. We only got about 90 days, little over 100 days left of the year. And what do you plan on doing? How are you going to start living your best life? Are you going to literally wait for everybody to show you what to do? Or are you going to take your life into your own hands? Are you going to take what God has called you to do in your own hands? Or are you going to consistently wait for others? We talked so much about that in the past. But today I'm here to tell you that you have to literally choose a side. Choose a side. You have to choose aside. For the next few minutes that I have with you, listen, you need to choose a side. Get your pencil, get your paper out, get your pencil, paper, pad, get your phone, type it on your notes. In fact, you need to share this podcast with someone right now and let them know that a Renewed Mind podcast is on. This is Must Hear Podcast. We know Must See TV. You got to see it. This is Must Hear Podcast, a Renewed Mind. And you need to make sure you share. If you love that person, you're going to share it with them. Because you want to make sure they're getting what you get, to make sure that they're going to be able to achieve what you're going to be able to achieve. Make sure that they get it. Share with everybody on your contacts. Share with all your friends on Facebook or Instagram. Everywhere you have any type of contacts, email list, whatever, copy and paste it and let them know, listen, you need to check out what Dr. Dante Duckett is saying on this Renewed Mind Podcast. But tonight, we're talking about it's time for you to choose a side. It's time for you to choose a side. I have a very unique scripture that I'm going to read for you. And I'm going to read it from the Message version because, Eugene Peterson is one of my favorite translators. The Message version is one of my favorite translation. We all know that Eugene Peterson has passed away. He was a great man of God. If you have not read any of his books, I'm telling you, you are missing it. He has a book that I'm telling you helped literally put my life in the position it's in right now. It's called A Long Walk, A Long Obedience. A Long Obedience. I want to make sure I'm giving it the right one. Make sure I give you the right one. Make sure I get you the right one. So Long Obedience. Okay, here we go. Making sure I got the right one. Here it is. A Long Obedience in the Same Direction. Eugene Peterson. A Long Obedience in the Same Direction. Write that down. Get it. Use your Amazon Prime. Whatever you need to do, get it. A Long Obedience in the Same Direction. Book literally helped shift my life to where it's at right now. But listen, I'm going to go to Deuteronomy 30. Deuteronomy 30. This text, when read in the Message version, will literally help you understand how important it is for you to choose a side. This is no longer can afford to play games with your life. You can't haphazardly walk through life thinking life it owes you something. Life doesn't owe you nothing. You have to make the intentional decision to choose a side. Persons that are successful, you know what they are successful in? Making decisions. That's all. Every successful person that you know, and even unsuccessful people, they all have learned, they are all living by the decisions that they made. That's so good. I need you to write that. You have to master making the right decisions for you. You have to make a choice. And for me, and what I'm sharing is you got to choose a side. You got to choose a side. So I'm going to read the Message version. I'm going to start at verse number 15. Read the Message version. I'm going to look at verse 15. Look at me. Listen to me. Listen to me very carefully. It says, look at what I've done for you today. I've placed in front of you life and good, death and evil. This is from Deuteronomy 30, beginning at verse 15. And this is from the Message translation, Eugene Peterson. And look what verse 16 says. And I command you today. I'm commanding you today. You got to make a choice. Love God, your God, walk in his ways, keep his commandments, regulations, and rules so that you will really live exuberantly, blessed by God, your God, in the land you are about to enter and possess. But I warn you, listen to me, if you have a change of heart and refuse to listen obediently and willfully go off to serve and worship other gods, you will most certainly die. You won't last long in this land that you are crossing the Jordan to enter. Listen, I call heaven and earth to witness against you today. I place before you life and death, blessings and curse. Choose life so that you and your children will live. Choose life so that you and your children will live. Last week, we started our new series, Start Living Your Best Life Now. And we started by going into an area about becoming whole. And we have a Bible study session. If you need to check out my Bible study. Go on my Facebook page. Go on New Kingdom TV, Facebook.com/New Kingdom TV. And you can see all the advertising. You can see all of our broadcasts. Just go in. I'm telling you, check it out. YouTube. You go to YouTube.com/New Kingdom TV. Check out all our broadcasts. I'm telling you, I started this session. The Holy Spirit told me to start this session called Becoming Whole Wednesdays. Becoming Whole, WHOL Wednesday. I'm telling you right now, that series, this format, these sessions are taking off like wildfire. I'm getting people signing up every single day for these sessions. But this is what we said. We know that this Becoming Whole Wednesday is a God-ordained ministry assignment for our life because it's not a typical Wednesday night Bible study. Okay? It's attractive enough that the unbeliever would be able to relate and enjoy each session. There's no way you can start living your best life now if you have not begun the process of putting some broken areas of your life back together. I need everyone to talk back to me today, because the enemy has been using your laziness as his primary weapon against you, betting on the fact you will continue to live your life without ever addressing areas you need to be fixed. So what happens is you settle for the crumbs from the master's table. You settle for the crumbs from the master's table. And God so blessed us with these crumbs. We talked about it. Listen, the church has participated in creating a culture who is satisfied with just the crumbs from the master's table. That's going to bless somebody real good. The church, the body of Christ, we have participated in creating a culture who is satisfied with just crumbs from the master's table. We lack the spiritual boldness to access the whole loaf. Therefore, as long as I have enough to survive, this is what it says, I'm okay. Crumbs. You're okay with dreaming dreams but never manifesting the vision. Crumbs. And if you are satisfied with the crumbs, everyone around you is also satisfied with crumbs. Listen to me. I have declared that I am choosing to unapologetically pursue my purpose to ensure I am in position and to stay in position in order to access the whole loaf that God has. I need somebody to declare, I want my whole loaf. I want the whole loaf now. I am determined to defeat my doubters. Everyone that said I couldn't do it, that I would not amount to nothing. I'm determined to defeat every one of my doubters and get access to the whole loaf. I want everything back the enemy has stole from me. I want the whole loaf. Listen, somebody said, listen, Pastor, the reason I want my drive. No, someone told me this. Pastor, I want my drive back. I lost my drive for ministry. I lost my drive for my purpose. I lost my drive for my dream. The reason you lost your drive in the first place is because you're trying to play both sides of the fence, and the devil is using your on again and off again relationship with God against you, which leads to your frustration with life in general and blaming everyone for your struggles. And the joy you once had has been replaced by bitterness, anger, and frustration, which only leads now to the devil having his opening to take all of the stuff you had. But listen, I need somebody today. You're listening to this podcast. I'm hoping you are ready to say enough is enough. Come on, somebody say it out real loud. You may be in the home. Somebody might be hearing you. You don't care because you are declaring enough is enough. I want my joy back. I want it all back. Give me the peace that you took. I want that back. Give me the money that I lost because I listened to your evil schemes. I want that. I want it all. In fact, I want all the stuff I missed out on. Come on, you need to make that declaration loud tonight. I want it all back. But listen, that sounds good. You know, that may have had you feeling pretty good. But I'm here to tell you, it will yield you nothing. It will have you leave, after you listening to this conversation, listening to this podcast, you might be on an emotional high only to come back to the reality you've been experiencing. That exact same reality that has you settling for crumbs and not the whole loaf. Being okay with the fact you have more to offer, but you still dumb down who you are because you're still that little child who was rejected and never recovered. Let me tell you, if you don't choose a side, you will remain right where you are. One of the most powerful scriptures in the biblical text is found in Revelations chapter 3. I'm going to read it for you, and please keep the podcast on. Don't turn it off. Please. This is God speaking. This is not me. It says, I know all the things you do, that you are neither hot nor cold. I wish that you were one or the other. You are lukewarm, and I want to spew you out of my mouth. That's the word that comes from God. He says you need to choose to either be hot or cold, because I want to spew you out of my. I know all the things. This is what he's saying that you do. I want to spew you out, because you need to choose a side. You need to choose a side. And that's what we're dealing with tonight. That's what God is sharing with us. And Joshua even made the declaration in 24:15. He said, but if you refuse to serve the Lord, then choose today whom you will serve. You got to choose a side. You have to choose a side and stop trying to play both sides of the fence. The text says today I'm giving you a choice between life and death. This thing is not complicated. You're either going to choose life or you're going to choose death. Everyone knows the moment you stop growing, then you're dying. And Christ has declared that I have come to give you life and life more abundantly. Listen to me. Let me make sure I share this with you. Again, you're listening to a renewed podcast. And I'm your host, Dr. H. Dante Duckett. I want to thank you for listening. If you have not downloaded my podcast, go to pray.com, pray.com, search my name, Dante Duckett, and you'll be able to find all of my podcasts. You can download them. You can go to Spreaker, SPREAKER.com, search my name, Dante, spelled Duante, Duckett, Duckett. Download all of my podcasts, and believe me, you will be blessed. You have to choose a side. The life of living as a carnal Christian. These are the reasons. These are the persons. You're that person. Let me show you how you know if you're carnal or not. You're the person you can confess. You have confessed, but still has a lifestyle that's contrary to kingdom living. I'm not talking about church living. I'm not speaking of your Sunday morning attendance. I'm talking about kingdom living. Carnal Christians still come to church, but can I go another step further? There's a difference between a church member and a kingdom citizen. I need to explain this to you first. You can take the kingdom everywhere. You can come to church, but you can't take the church where you go. But you can take that kingdom mindset everywhere you go. An individual with the kingdom mindset could get cursed out, but at the end of the conversation can say thank you and have a nice day and really mean it, because they know they just received the confirmation they are headed in the right direction. Because a kingdom mindset just does things different. Come on, someone. You just different. That's the purpose you need to understand in your life. You're just different. So why are you trying to consistently fit in places that you don't belong? You're just different. You're different from everyone else. You're different from the people that are around you. You're different from the people you're trying to hang out with. You're just different. But you keep trying to fit in, but you don't. You don't allow how your feelings you consistently allow your feelings to control you. Carnal Christian. Let me tell you what a carnal Christian Look, let me give you 3 things about a carnal Christian. The first thing is, write this down, okay? And let me know if this is you or not. Carnal Christians allow their feelings to force them to function in a constant state of frustration. Okay, I need you to come on, talk back to me today. Carnal Christians allow their feelings to force them to function in a constant state of frustration. Okay, Duckett, who are you talking to? If you see someone mad all the time, but you know they go to church, somebody say carnal. They mad all the time because they allow their feelings to control them. They're saved, but they're not filled. You can be saved and not filled with the Holy Spirit. And your little holy dance is not confirmation that you're filled. Your shouting is not confirmation that you're filled. You need to start displaying the fruit of the Spirit: love, patience, and self-control. If you need to have it your way all the time, come on, somebody say carnal. Second thing, let me show you what a carnal Christian looks like. Let me describe a carnal Christian to you. The second thing, they allow their faith to fluctuate, which leads them to living a fickle lifestyle. Good God Almighty. Can I say it one more time? Please listen to this. They allow their faith to fluctuate, which leads them to living a fickle lifestyle. Somebody say, Pastor, you are teaching in here. This podcast is about to change. I need someone to yell out, choose a side. Choose a side. You are in or you're out. Your fickleness, can I tell you what fickleness does? Your fickleness frustrates the faithful people. You can't depend on fickle people. It's hard to build a company, a ministry. It's hard to build anything on folk that are fickle. They are fruitless, faithless, and predominantly phony. I'm going to say it one more time. They are fruitless, faithless, and predominantly phony. They are carnal. They can't choose a side because they live on both sides. Number 3, they allow their friends the freedom to control their fate. Lord, their friends' feelings are more important than them fulfilling the kingdom mandate. Listen, show me your friends and I will show you your future. God. Okay, I hope this didn't offend somebody, because I know you're probably getting offended right now, but I hope you're not getting offended at me right now. If you show me your friends, I can show you what your future is going to look like. If your circle is not filled with like-minded believers who have chosen a side, then you will remain carnal. Jesus had 12, but he only rode with 3. And here you are still trying to pull folk along despite the fact they have no desire to listen or adhere to a kingdom lifestyle. And yet you wonder why your prayers are not getting answered. You wonder why when you take one step forward, you go 2 steps back, because you haven't chosen a side. Come on, can you look at yourself? You can't. Close your eyes. Picture yourself right now. Tell yourself, choose a side. Choose a side. Look at the text. This is not me. This is not me saying this. The text says, but if your heart turns away and you refuse to listen, then I warn you now, you will certainly be destroyed. You will not live a long and good life. It's time to choose a side, because you got to declare to yourself, I've come too far. I lived too long to go out like this. God has too much for me, and I haven't even scratched the surface. What God has in store for me, there's too much word that has been deposited in me over the years for me not to operate in my full potential. Where you at? Who am I teaching right now? My mind has been made up to declare I am going to live. Listen to me. Sit down if you want. You can listen to this podcast and not make a change if you want in your life. But I'm here to tell you, there's some folk that are standing with me that are believing what I'm saying. The word says, you will give me the desires of my heart, and I want that. The word says, the blessing of the Lord maketh us rich. I want that. The word says, eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, neither has it entered into the hearts of men what great things you have in store for them. I want that. God has some great things in store for you. David was able to kill his giant, and you got to want to be able to do that. Joseph became second in charge, and you got to be able to want to do that. Jesus called Lazarus from his death, and you got to be able to say, God, I want to see that. You got to tell you, I have to choose a side. And the way you choose a side is, listen, number one, you must realign your life by reestablishing kingdom habits. My God, listen, this is good. This is good. This is good. Write it down. You must realign your life by reestablishing kingdom habits. You have to command your life to get yourself together. You have to put your life on notice. No longer will you allow how you feel to have the control it used to have. No longer will you allow what folks say to influence your decisions. No longer will you allow what you see to force you to go against what God has commanded you to do. You are a faith walker, not a sight seer. Come on. You walk by faith. You don't walk by sight. So realign your life to reflect the who you really are. The need for confirmations is contradictory to how God built you. No matter how much good you do, it will always be spoken evil of. So when you wake up in the morning, like Cindy Trim has declared, you need to command your morning to realign your life back. Today, you declare, today, tonight, today, this afternoon, this morning, wherever you're listening to this podcast, you need to declare, I am living according to God's will. Today, I will walk by faith and not by sight. Today, I will declare I am the head. And today, I have made the choice between life and death, and I choose life. Second thing you got to do is you have to reassign your life back to living out your purpose. Reassign your life to living out your purpose. If it does not line up with my purpose, then don't expect me to show up. I found a very easy way. Come on, listen to me. Everybody in this audience, listen to me. Thank you, all my loyal listeners. I really appreciate your loyalty. Believe me, I am praying for you. I know you're praying for me. Listen to me. Let me show you how you clean up your schedule and you don't waste any more time. If what's on your schedule does not line up with your purpose, scratch it off. Be unapologetic about it. Persons won't understand it. It's not their problem. It's not your problem. It's theirs. There's not much time left on the clock. It's the fourth quarter with 2 minutes and you got 80 yards to go. The time for wasting time is over. Your legacy is on the line. Your children and grandchildren are depending on you to make sure you finish what you start. Fulfilling your purpose has to be what gets you up in the morning. Fulfilling your purpose has to be your fuel to choose a side daily. Paul declared in his word that I have to die every single day to my flesh so I can fulfill my purpose. I have to die to my agenda daily. I have to die to my manipulative spirit daily. Your life is in his hands, and he is expecting you to be in the position daily to fulfill your purpose. Don't worry about tomorrow, for it has enough trouble of its own. Choose today, not tomorrow, but choose today by doing this last thing. Remind your life he can do exceedingly abundantly above all we ask or think. You got to remind yourself that he can do exceedingly abundantly above all you ask or think. It's time to start living your best life now. I've given you 3 things that you must do. 3 things that you have to do. And let me go over them again to make sure you know exactly what I shared and why I shared it. The first thing I said is you have to realign your life by reestablishing kingdom habits. Can't allow your life to be lived any old kind of way. When you start living your best life now, you have made the decision to realign your life. All of us have driven a car. Many of us have driven a car. If you haven't, one of the maintenance items that each car requires is an alignment. Well, it ensures that your wheels are driving straight. It may look like your wheels are driving straight, but your car, if it's off alignment, it will start sliding over from one side to the other. And that just is an indication that you need an alignment. When you find yourself waffling back and forth in your life, going from one thing to another, you need to stop and begin to realign your life by reestablishing kingdom habits. Reestablishing kingdom habits. This will position you to get exactly what God is allowing us to have, what he wants for you to have in your life. To reestablish kingdom habits. Wow, this is good stuff. You got to reestablish these habits so you don't miss out. You can't live your life, your best life, until you realign your life, because your life is out of order, it's out of whack, it's not aligned with the habits that God established for the kingdom. And then I said, you have to reassign your life back to living out your purpose. For many are the plans in a man's heart, but God's purpose will prevail. God's purpose will prevail. You got to realign your life back to living out your purpose. You can't allow your life to consistently be in a season where you have allowed the next good thing or the next best thing or the thing that everybody's doing to have control of your life, because it will consistently keep you away from your purpose. Culture has designed itself in a way to ensure that you never operate in your purpose. But I believe God sent you here tonight to listen to this podcast. So it's time for you to reassign your life back to living out your purpose. Then lastly, I said to you is that, listen, it is time for you to remind your life he can do exceedingly abundantly above all we ask or think. Why did I make that my last point? Because often we get so caught up in what's going wrong, in the things that we can't do, and the things that we know we need to do, but we have forgotten that God can do exceedingly abundantly above all we ask or think. He can do it all. Don't worry about the things that you can't control. He can do exceedingly abundantly above all you can ask or think. Now, I got a pretty decent imagination, so I can think about a lot. He can do more than that. My God. I'm here to tell you, this is what God is trying to do in your life. It's time for you to start living your best life. And there are things that you have to do. You got to choose a side. You got to choose life, or you got to choose death. You got to realign. You have to reassign. And you have to remind your life. Listen, you have been listening to the podcast of A Renewed Mind. I am your host, Dr. H. Dante Duckett, and I'm so excited that you're here. I don't know when you're listening to this, where you are listening to this, what time of the day it is, but I'm telling you, you do not want to miss these podcasts. Please, please, please go back, go onto pray.com, search my name, Dante Duckett, download all the podcasts of A Renewed Mind. Go to Spreaker.com, Spreaker.com. Download it all. Get it all. You need it. It's going to bless your life. Share it with everyone that you can so you can ensure that their life is going to be changed just like yours. Again, this is Dr. H. Dante Duckett. Shout out again to our producer, Positive Power, Dr. Jerry Royce. We love you, Dr. Royce. Thank God for your life, man. You've done some great work for us, and there's more to come. Listen, see you next week on a Renewed Mind podcast. I'm your host, Dr. H. Dante Duckett, where you need to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. God bless you.
You have just been blessed by the transformational teaching of Dr. H. Dante Duckett. Tune in next time to another segment of A Renewed Mind.